Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Gather round, bookworms, because the time has come for a new episode of Rock and Read. Today, you will get to hear Chapter 8 of Elvis and Me by his wife, Priscilla Presley. Let's see what happens next. It was after 3 o'clock the next afternoon when Elvis called. "Alan's on his way to pick you up," he said. Alan Fortes was another of his employees. When we arrived at Elvis's house, I found him upstairs dressing. As soon as he saw me, he kissed me and asked, "How would you like to go to Las Vegas? We could really have fun, and I could show you around my favorite places." Not understanding his contradiction regarding my staying with the Barrises the night before, and feeling uneasy asking any questions, I answered, "I'd love to." "When?" "Tonight. We'll load up the bus and head out about midnight, arrive in the morning, sleep all day, and see the shows and party all night." Excitement was in the air. Las Vegas. I had never dreamed of going there, and I really didn't know what to expect. Actually, I really didn't care where we went, as long as I was with him. I had 2 immediate concerns. One, I didn't know if I could afford, or at my age should even wear, the glamorous clothes suitable for Vegas, but Elvis said not to worry. Alan would take me shopping that afternoon. It was a strange experience, shopping with someone I barely knew, particularly a man. He seemed as uncomfortable as I, but assured me we would find something. He was familiar with all the boutiques and took me to Saks Fifth Avenue as well. As I selected a couple of outfits, I worried about my other concern, the promised daily letter to my parents. How would I explain Las Vegas postmarks? I couldn't. But I could pre-write letters for the time we were gone, number them 1 through 7, and have Jimmy mail them from Los Angeles daily. My problems were solved. On to Las Vegas. That evening, Elvis's front lawn was alive with activity. There seemed to be people everywhere. The huge bus that George Barris had custom designed for Elvis stood in the driveway. The guys streamed in and out of it, loading suitcases, records, a stereo system, and cases of Pepsi-Cola. All the preparations and excitement made it look as if Elvis were moving out, but in fact, he always traveled this way. He was still uneasy about flying, a fear he later conquered, and felt much more relaxed driving. Because we didn't know how long we'd stay, Alan and Gene Smith brought along whatever Elvis enjoyed, so he would feel as comfortable as if he were at home. I was happy. It was the first time we'd be together without restrictions or curfews. Just before midnight, they all gathered around the big bus. It was time to say goodbye to any visitors the regulars were leaving behind. Elvis was dressed in a white shirt, black pants, black racing gloves, and his ever-present yachting cap. As we pulled away, he yelled out the window, "We shall return!" And we hit the highway for Las Vegas, Nevada. I didn't know what I was headed for, but I loved the idea of adventure. And I felt proud. There was Gene to my right, me in the center, and Elvis driving. I learned that Elvis always preferred driving at night. It was cooler, and there was less traffic. He came alive at night. There was a big difference between the daytime Elvis and the nocturnal Elvis. When the sun went down, another personality took over, and on this particular night, he was in great form. On a break between films, away from Colonel Parker, free of pressures and responsibilities, he could relax and play. On the way to Vegas, we all listened to music, nibbled on snacks, and drank Pepsis. In the front seat, Elvis and Gene joked in their own language. Elvis would say something, and Gene would reply with a complete non sequitur. When conversation lagged, they engaged in surprise attacks, punching each other. If Gene thought he'd landed a good one, he'd take off running toward the back of the bus, aware that Elvis could always pull over and chase him. These antics continued throughout most of the exhausting drive across the desert. I felt out of sync with the private jokes and crazy hijinks. It was quite obvious that the boys picked up on Elvis's every mood. I did not yet fit in. We arrived in Las Vegas around 7 in the morning. I was tired and falling asleep when Elvis called out, "We're coming into Vegas. Look around. All you see is hotels. It's called Sin City. Isn't that right, Smith?" Gene mumbled one of his silly replies, and Elvis laughed as usual. The strip looked quiet. There were a lot of taxis, some cars, and a few tired people strolling along the streets. I noticed it was extremely hot for 7 a.m., especially since it was only June. We checked into the Sahara Hotel, and to my amazement, despite the early hour, people were everywhere. Elvis pointed to the casino, noisy with the rhythmic sounds of the slot machines, the sporadic ringing of bells, and an occasional yell from the tables. "Is this normal?" I asked Elvis. "Honey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till tonight," he replied. That wouldn't be easy. Despite being tired, I stood fascinated, watching the gamblers clustered at the various tables and the slot machines. Elvis took my arm. "Come on, baby, let's go up to the room. There'll be plenty of time for this later. We better get some rest." We followed the bellboy to the suite, and the entourage efficiently began arranging the rooms to Elvis's liking. They unpacked his clothes, placing them neatly in his closet, lining up his shoes by color, and setting out his toiletries in the bathroom. In the living room, they set up his record player and speakers, lowered the lights to create the right atmosphere, and turned on all the television sets. "Why do you always have the TV on?" I asked Elvis. "It keeps me company," he said. "When it's on, I feel like there are people around." He despised entering a quiet room, and soon I too adopted the habit of automatically turning on the TV whenever I walked into a room. An hour later, the assistants had the suite looking lived in, with everything in its proper place. Elvis said goodnight to the boys and cautioned them not to wake us up too early. He locked the bedroom door and got undressed and into bed. As I climbed in beside him, I noticed that he was taking a number of prescribed sleeping pills, but I didn't pay much attention to them. I wasn't knowledgeable enough even to suspect any potential threat. I lay there blissfully happy. Finally, we were able to spend an entire night sleeping together. Elvis was looking at me. "Do you believe this, baby? After all this time, here you are. Who'd ever have thought we'd pull this off? Let's not even think about you going back. We'll have a good time. We'll think about the other when the time comes." His words were starting to slur. His reaction slowed down. He pulled me closer and told me again and again, "I'm glad you're here." And then, silence. I looked over at the bottles of pills near the bed and realized I still had competition. Well, that's the end of Chapter 8. Let me know what you thought of this chapter in the comments below. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.